Welcome to episode 78 of The Leap Home, The Leaping of the Shrew.
In this week's episode, Sam is shipwrecked with an apparently obnoxious woman who makes things difficult for him as he tries to engineer their rescue from an uninhabited island paradise. The more his companion opens up to him, the more Sam realises he's attracted to her. But with a fiancé somewhere on the ocean and family expectations to meet, can he persuade his fellow castaway to give him a chance? Or will society's demands prevail?
You know, first I ripped off all your clothes. Then I pulled out my bouzouki and played wild peasant songs while I danced naked around the raft.
Good afternoon, Ian. How are things?
Not too bad. That was a good sort of preview for next week's podcast there.
I guess it's just a regular Friday night
Yeah, of course.
podcast central.
Indeed.
I noted that you, in your opening summary there, claimed that it was the main character this week, or the main guest star this week, was apparently obnoxious.
I did. I don't think we're going to agree on this.
We're not going to agree on it, but there's no doubt there's no apparent about it.
No, I disagree.
Okay.
We've talked about this briefly previously.
Well, I've got 2 glasses of water this week. I've got a feeling my throat may be a little dry and parched after a rant or 3.
Yes. Before we get into this, can we just make sure that Brooke Shields was an adult at the time that this was made? This is the first note I've got here. I like her more than him out of the two of them.
Don't get me started just now, Ian. This is just...
You're usually Sam's biggest critic.
Yeah. Listen, I'm not saying Sam's a good guy, but in this episode, oh my God.
Well, we'll get into that.
And I think from as you say, our very brief off-mic discussion, that I understand what you're disagreeing with the TV resolution of this, and I think that is absolutely abhorrent. I think there's a lot of sort of white privilege and leeway that you would only give to a pretty white billionaire. It's
I don't think that's true.
well, of course it's true. Well, listen, we're going to get there, but do your socials.
Okay. As usual, you can get in touch with us at Leap Home Podcast on Twitter, Instagram, etc. You can find show notes at theleaphome.com, and if you're impatient and you want next week's episode right now, you can find it over on our YouTube channel, Columbo Podcast Productions, where every episode comes out 1 week early.
Okay, we've got a lot to be discussing. I think we should just crack on.
So we're back to the usual format of short introduction.
Yeah, I must admit, I'm glad this is a one banger, as it were. The Lee Harvey Oswald stuff sort of...
I'm glad we've left that multi-episode arc stuff in the past for at least another month. Maybe not quite.
Okay. Yeah, we begin in the ocean at night and during a thunderstorm where Sam struggles to stay afloat as he tries to attract the attention of a nearby ship.
Day and night seem to come and go at odd intervals in this episode.
You think?
It gets dark and then light and then dark, but then it's night time. But
I think it cuts, and I think that's the passing of time, Ian.
Well, sometimes it seemed a little bit odd that it would change from day to night, but no time seemed to have... I don't know. Anyway, we do see Sam and this yacht. He waves to this yacht, which explodes.
And when things seem that they can't get any worse, they do. When he hears a screeching young woman demand help while clutching onto a trunk, and we have his oh boy.
I don't think she's screeching any more than anybody else would be in the circumstances.
But he's not.
Well, he doesn't know what's going on. He's just figuring it out. Anyhow, we get the credits. We return to the ocean. The sun rises.
It's the new crap credits, we should say.
Well, I read a report that said that this was at the insistence of Scott Bakula, who wanted a rock-themed theme tune.
Well, I've taken a note as well this week. It's a few weeks into it, obviously. However, it's sort of jarring with me that this is, 93, this episode?
Yeah. Well, is it late 92 maybe?
By this point, we are well into the grunge movement.
Right in the peak.
However, the show, and Scott Bakula, apparently, as you just said there, thought that 80s guitar-based would be appropriate.
Well, it's just a time travel-based show.
Yeah, but it's so 80s. It's so out of touch with the what they've changed it because the show's on its last legs, as we come to learn. It's the last season, and they're trying to change things up by using an outdated sound.
Not the smartest choice.
No, as everyone's getting into the old grunge movement. Yeah, we'll go for Something from the mid-80s. Yeah. I can see it being played on one of those headless guitars.
Speaking of questionable choices, Sam has separated this woman from her buoyant trunk so he can grab her around the neck.
Yeah, she just have left her.
But she was fine, floating on
Why
the
was she
trunk.
asking for help then?
Well, she wants to be rescued, but not dragged around the ocean by the neck.
Yeah, she should say that. Just leave me alone then, yeah. Yeah, and we hear Sam use a very trite comparison where he talks about a leap being like a stormy situation.
And then he calls out for divine intervention, which is immediately delivered.
In the form of a raft. We should say also that we're told what the date is at this point.
Yeah, the 27th of September 1956.
And Sam manages to get the barely conscious Vanessa, I think we come to learn her name is, into this raft. But rather than be thankful, the ungrateful brat is furious that he is not her fiancé, David, and slaps him.
You've misrepresented the situation entirely.
No.
He hauls her into the raft, then lies on top of her without making any effort to get off her. And when she asks if he is David, he says he is.
No, that's not a misrepresentation at all. Unless you're insinuating that Sam is getting some sort of sexual pleasure out of this situation, which he's obviously not. He himself, he doesn't go, oh yeah, I definitely am. He assumes he is. When he leaps into these people, he assumes the other person will know.
Yeah,
he doesn't know
his
who
mistake.
he is.
It's not her mistake. She's asked, are you my fiancé? And he's saying, yes, it's me.
Yeah,
and he's lying to her from her point of view.
No, he's not like, from her point of view, perhaps. Sam's doing nothing wrong here. He made an assumption that he was David.
She doesn't know that he's a time-travelling person who's jumped into this other guy. No. From her point of view, he should know he's not David.
Well, that'd be fine if her future behaviours and actions showed this was an anomaly, but it's not. This is the first of her being just a horrible creature.
Well, I don't agree. Okay, anyway, Sam clearly considers this ungrateful.
There's lots of evidence, and we'll discuss it in great detail, I am sure.
Okay.
He is understandably confused with her attitude, and Al doesn't do much to help when he turns up.
Where are we? Where is everybody else?
Oh, well, we're not sure, Sam, but you're somewhere in the middle of the Central Aegean Sea.
Where's my trunk?
Oh, I'm sorry I didn't get here sooner, but we're making preparations for Tina's birthday, and she wants me to pop up out of the birthday cake. You'll never believe what she wants me to not wear.
There it is. There it is. It's sinking. Come on.
The Aegean Sea, Al. What? South of Greece, north of Crete, where?
Right over there, you greasy little man.
Who is this? The Miss Wet Evening Gown Contest winner?
You tell me.
I am telling you. Now get it. Look, if you think that you can get out of your duty to me by acting crazy, you don't know who you're dealing with. Now go get my trunk.
I can see she's not going to win the Miss
did you hear me?
Congeniality Award.
Now.
She reminds me of my fourth wife, Ruth. No, that's wrong. Fifth? No, third wife. My third wife, Ruth.
Al.
Al. Now what?
I'll be damned if I'm going into the ocean for your trunk, and I don't care who you are.
This is Vanessa Foster of the Philadelphia Fosters. She's got more dough than Pillsbury. And since you don't have any supplies whatsoever, I'd go get the trunk.
No way. Give me a break.
Look here. Since you are an employee of a ship that my fiancé hired, you have to do whatever I say, and I say go get my trunk. Fine, I'll get it myself.
No, all right. This is what a shrew.
Very nice. I'll have you know that I won the bronze medal at the Northampton Beach and Bay Club Junior Olympics when I was merely 15. Daddy bought me a ski boat for that.
It's too bad it's not still here. You could ski over and get the trunk.
Just answer me this, okay?
What?
Are there any essentials in the trunk?
Yes, everything. Now, are you going to go get it, or should I?
Well, that's Exhibit A.
For Sam's terrible behaviour?
No.
Refusing to help get this trunk?
What an appalling person. Starting off with the greasy little man, she's condescending. She obviously knows where his place is. Demanding that she do things, then threatening him, I'm rich and you should be doing this. And what an appalling attitude she has there. Appalling, horrible person.
Don't agree at all.
Okay.
Because she offers to go and get the trunk by herself.
Well, she doesn't.
In there. She says, I'll get it. She says, I was a great swimmer when I was younger.
If you're not going to do it, yeah.
Yeah, if you're not going to get it, I'm not going to make a big deal out of it. I'll just get it.
Yeah,
and it's Sam who won't let her go.
Utter scum. So he reluctantly retrieves it, ties it to the side of the dinghy, but is dismayed to discover that it doesn't contain any food or water, any sort of really important items or things that would be important in this situation.
No, it does have cigarettes and matches in it. And Sam thinks maybe the matches could come in handy later on.
Yeah, I mean, we find out she really only wanted the cigarettes. That's the first thing she went for. She sparks up a smoke. And we'll discuss again her bad habit is it's caused problems in the past.
She naturally bristles when Sam starts clawing through her underwear in the trunk.
Yeah, describes him as a pervert. As if, I mean, what are you talking about? These are dire situations. You're fearing for your life in this situation. You think what he is just rifling through your knickers for a laugh. Yeah, well done. Leave him alone. Let him do his thing. Looking to see what we've got here. You just went straight and got the cigarettes. Oh, never mind the rest. I'm just what I smoke. Anyway.
She's concerned as well that her fiancé may have died in the explosion, but Al reassures Sam that he is alive, which Sam then relays to her as though he has a way of knowing this. He makes up a ridiculous story about giving up his spot on the captain's raft.
Yeah. Also, at this point, I think she refers to him as, with a sneer, as a grimy little grunt. Yep, lovely person. A grimy little grunt.
Well, we don't know yet whether that's accurate or not.
To quote Blackadder, a bloody little poor person.
Well, I'm not sure that's exactly what she's saying.
No, it's worse than that. A grimy little grunt. Okay, if that's how she treats people, that's fair enough. If you want to side with her, that's absolutely fair enough.
Yeah, no, I do.
Okay.
So Al, at this point, tells Sam who he is. His name's Nikos. He's a Greek, and he works on the boat.
Yeah, in the engine room. Now, Sam, throughout this episode, blatantly just talks to Al. But again, in this case, I don't mind. He can't go anywhere else. You can't go to a phone box. And I would be more concerned about, yes, the immediate threat to life than worrying about what she thinks, to be perfectly honest.
Vanessa noticed that when he was on the boat or the yacht, he didn't talk to himself. And her psychiatrist has told her it's only desperately lonely people who talk to themselves.
Yep. She's either making that up or her psychiatrist is a complete quack.
Well, it's entirely possible.
So we find out that in the original history, David, the fiancé, and Vanessa were married the next day, but Al cannot confirm that the leap is simply to save her so that she can get married, but is quite content, quite happy, because they are apparently on the main shipping line and they should be rescued in a matter of hours. So that's some comfort.
They have missed the point where they were originally rescued.
Yes.
Which is not good.
No, but
Sam's changed history and stopped them from being rescued up to this point.
Yes, but they're still on the main line, so that shouldn't be a problem. A couple of hours. It's not pleasant, but hey, it's not the end of the world.
Yeah. Sam again starts rummaging in this trunk, hoping there might be some food. But Vanessa tells him it's a hope chest, not a picnic basket.
Yeah, but no, I think she enthusiastically claims that there is some food in there.
She then says she remembers suddenly that there is. Well, it's not really food though, is it?
It's not food at all, no. You can't, there's no nourishment, no nutrition in this. You're not going to survive on it. What is it?
It's hundreds of sticks of chewing gum because she's been trying to quit smoking.
So, if she's trying to quit smoking, Sam asks why she brought all the cigarettes.
In case she couldn't quit smoking?
No, she wants one final blowout, and she certainly got that, which will...
Well, Al explains right now.
This might be, in terms of criminal, certainly, behaviour, this might be the worst of it. It's infuriating. What do we find out?
She disposed of a finished cigarette butt in a bin, but the bin contained diesel-soaked rags, which ignited, leading to the destruction of the yacht. That's really unfortunate.
Blew up the boat because she wanted a smoke, thought that it'd be fine in an engine room to have a smoke, where she wasn't allowed to. Didn't bother her arse to confirm or make sure. She's on a boat, throw the butt into the water.
Well, this isn't technically what happened. She wasn't smoking. She was pretending to go for a smoke because she could hang around with this guy. She didn't smoke the cigarette. Sorry. She lit it and put it out and then put it in the bin.
Okay, so that does not matter. She, in reality, should be jailed for reckless endangerment.
I think it's an accident. I don't think there needs to be blame apportioned here.
I'm sorry, you with your background, Ian, should know reckless endangerment doesn't have to be deliberate. It would be a different... If you do something through neglect, something that could be prevented, you can certainly be going to jail, fined, prosecuted, have a criminal record. She blew up a bloody boat.
Well, they're going to struggle to find evidence for that. Well,
I'm not saying that she will be convicted. I'm saying she should be convicted. Okay. She blew up a boat.
Well, these things happen.
No, they don't. No, they don't. Well, they do, but they very rarely. And when they do, there is inquests.
Okay. Al, at this point, is heading off to do his cake thing. But I think he's going to return in a few seconds without doing his cake thing, regardless.
So Sam, through Al's knowledge, reveals that he knows that she caused the explosion.
She accuses him of following her.
We've seen this a few times. She gaslights. Even if she said, yeah, I did do it. Oh, that was terrible. I didn't mean it. It was an accident, and I'm ashamed of it. She doesn't. She says, you were following me. She cannot accept. She's got no. Her character is repulsive. Yeah. She will never accept any responsibility or blame.
She's trying to play up to a character that's what she thinks people expect from her.
That I don't care. That's not an excuse. We'll get to this, but what you're going to tell me is what is pure white privilege Hollywood. I don't care why she acts like this. I'm not disputing that. That does not entitle you to act like this. It doesn't change the fact that you're acting like a complete scumbag. You're going to give me reasons, and I know the reasons, and I know what the episode's saying, and we could all see it before it happened. We all knew what was going to happen. That doesn't matter. I don't care. I don't care that her daddy didn't show her enough love. That is not the point. Because we'll get there.
Yeah. At this point, it's Sam who acts outrageously by taking the cigarettes and throwing them into the ocean.
No, not outrageously at all. You have nearly killed me. We're still in mortal danger here. And you're smoking. It gets worse.
Well, he causes the thing that he was trying to prevent by getting rid of the cigarettes.
No, he doesn't cause that. No, again,
infuriating poor Vanessa.
Little Miss Tiny Tears, little princess, had a tantrum. We should say at this point as well, she's got her makeup case, a little makeup, and she's holding a brush which is a sharpened handle.
Comb, but yeah.
Whatever, it's got a sharpened handle.
Yep. And
when he throws away the cigarettes, which have caused them to be in this, as he says, these are the things that have caused them to be in a bloody raft, and she's blown up a boat.
Still not his property.
It doesn't matter. I don't care. She then decides, in a fit of rage, to thrust down her hand, and she puts a hole in the device that's keeping them alive. Twice now.
This is an accident, though.
No, I'm sorry.
She's just accident prone.
She's accident prone. A fit of rage of a tantrum. And a princess tantrum here she has. Stamping her little feet, throwing things down, doesn't get her own way, doesn't like what's happening. And again, reckless endangerment. They're now probably going to die.
So Sam thinks this is a good opportunity to use this chewing gum to fill the hole. So the two of them start masticating furiously.
This wouldn't work. What, excuse me?
The two of them start masticating furiously.
They certainly will. That I don't think would work.
Well, it does. We see it works.
Yeah. I've seen this before. Where have I seen this before? Was it in National Lampoon? One of the
chewing gum to fix something?
A dam. Right. I think it's happened a few times.
Yeah.
Anyway.
I don't think chewing gum has these properties.
Not in a big hole like that. In that
it wouldn't attach to the boat. It would just slide off.
Yeah.
Anyway, having closed the hole, he then gets her to hold this disgusting chewed gum down, which she willingly does.
Oh, what a trooper she is. Probably does it without any complaint as well.
Well, he just starts throwing her stuff into the sea for no apparent reason.
Now, I would agree he doesn't need to do this, not because I have any issue with throwing her crap away. She's got silver and all that sort of stuff, and she's like, Billy, I don't care about her. He didn't throw away her gran. Has that been mentioned yet?
Not yet. He's about to get to that because he's being quite spiteful at this point, making comments about how, you don't need this, yeah. But it's not helping the buoyancy at all.
It's not, because the trunk is attached. It's just connected to the raft. It's not in the raft.
No, so it's floating by itself.
I agree. However, with your life being put in danger because of her abhorrent behaviour recently, I don't care if he wants to punish her. Yeah, I'm saying, well, I'm throwing me a trap.
Vindictive.
Yes, and I would be exactly the same. Not only has she caused it, but she shows no remorse. And I'm thinking, do you know what? Yeah.
I've got a note here. She's been billed as a brat, but up till now she's been far less objectionable than Sam.
Utter nonsense. Her family silver knot she's bringing up. Here you go. What are you doing, you mug?
Well, she didn't mention until he pulled out and started trying to chuck it in the sea for no reason.
Yeah, they don't need all this stuff anyway. Get it in the water. Yeah. No, there's nothing here at all from her point of view that's redeeming. And to be fair, if I was him, I'd be tempted to throw her overboard as well. But anyway,
Al returns at this point far too quickly to have been able to go and do his party trick, and quite rightly, Vanessa has a go at Sam for talking to himself again. It's quite concerning behaviour when you're out in the ocean and one guy starts having conversations with thin air.
If you don't want to be out in the ocean with a stranger in that situation, do not blow up a boat then. And yeah, just to confirm,
Al's got bad news.
no, before that Sam is about to launch what he thinks is an ornament into the water.
Right, yes, but
It's her grandmama, I think she refers to. So he doesn't throw her into a watery grave.
she's brought her grandmother's ashes so that she can attend the wedding.
Yes. Okay, now what's Al's news?
They now never get rescued due to whatever Sam's done.
Sam's done nothing.
Well, we don't know. He's not done what the other guy did originally.
Yeah.
So it's probably not so much something Sam's actively done as something he didn't do, I guess, as not being a mariner.
Yeah.
And as a result, they are now never found. It could well be that Sam just has a different approach to the tasks.
Yeah, well, we find that Nico is a mariner, as you say, so there might be something in this situation that you would know to do.
Mollycoddle Vanessa a bit more, not puncture the dinghy and
no,
I don't know.
we're hoping that she wouldn't puncture it. No, because she thinks he is a little, little grunt.
It might be that he takes a different tack with her.
Sure.
Anyhow, we don't know. Later on, Sam has now rigged up Vanessa's wedding dress as a sail. And although she does have a bit of a whine about this, she has allowed him to do it and not prevented him from using her wedding dress as a sail. So,
well, yeah, no, I wouldn't go that far. Allowed him to do it. She threatens to have her daddy look into having him killed when they return.
She's just having a wee moan. However,
a wee moan, yeah.
That's
what they need in that situation. What you need is a wee moan. That's helpful, yeah.
She doesn't talk about having her daddy having him killed, having him fired from the company.
Nope. She says she's going to look and see if the death penalty is still around in Greece. She mentions that quite explicitly.
For his crimes.
She complains about being hungry. And
but she doesn't want her veil to be used to catch fish initially.
She describes her last sumptuous meal on the ship and then physically tries to prevent Sam from attempting to keep them alive, as you say, by using her veil to try and catch something to eat. Oh. But her hunger eventually prevails.
Yeah, you can understand there's an emotional connection to this. Having given up her wedding dress.
No, I'm sorry, you cannot. That you'd be terrified in fear of your life. At that point, I don't care. I'm my dress. No, I can't understand that at all. I'd be thinking, oh God, we're going to die here. What can we do? Please think of something we can do. Can I use your veil? Sure. Do anything you need to do. We need to get out of here.
It doesn't take her long to relent anyhow. And she asks him to make sure and catch some of those little potatoes that she enjoyed on the boat. So she's clearly got a bit of a sense of humour about everything.
Yeah, she's no sense of humour whatsoever. And she then voices her disappointment when he only manages to gather some seaweed. And then she gets even more absurd.
She asks him to turn his back so she can change for dinner.
That's even a joke.
There's no need to change for dinner.
She literally changes into another costume.
Her new costume's nice. Her little sailor.
It's a wee sailing. It's very nice. And we should say that I don't remember the episode at all in terms of what happens, but I can remember the episode happening because as a man of my age, Brooke Shields was certainly
pin-up material.
Pin-up material, yes.
She does, however, as we say, get changed and they sit down to eat.
Yes, whilst continuing to moan.
I can't believe I'm doing this.
We don't have a choice.
Well, don't you ever tell anyone I did this.
Did what?
If one of those tacky tabloids gets a hold of this, I know who I'll come after.
You're right. I can see the headlines now. Socialite sucks seaweed. They won't be able to keep it on the stands.
That's it. When we get back, I'm reporting you to Daddy.
Is that a threat?
My father owns the largest shipping company in the United States. He's been on the cover of Look magazine. He's frequently quoted in the Journal.
You sound like his press agent, not his daughter. Was he in the ship?
No, thank goodness. He had stockholders' meetings in Manhattan. But he paid for everything. Well, it wasn't his fault that he couldn't be there. Those meetings are very important.
You don't have to defend him to me, okay?
I don't have to defend my father to anyone. He's the perfect father. He gives me everything and anything that I ask for.
Did he ever take you for a walk on the beach?
You know, fathers are very busy.
They are. Very busy.
Well, you obviously don't understand our culture.
No, I obviously don't. My dad taught me the names of all the constellations. He said if I knew the names of the stars above our home, then I could never be alone because I could always look up and know that he and Mom were looking at the same stars.
That's nice. Well, it's quaint.
Doesn't understand her culture. Yeah, she's. There are a few things there with all sort of greasy grunt stuff. She's. There's an underlying sort of racism as well. Or certainly that snobbery about different people. You're not wasp. You're not waspy.
I don't think she actually feels like that, and we're going to find out that that's the case. I think it's quite harsh that her father's not bothered showing up for her wedding.
Without a doubt, father's a horrible creature. But listen, we can get to it. But as I say, that's I'm not debating why she acts like an arsehole. That's not the point.
Okay. She insists at this point that her father does love her as much as Sam loves him, but expresses it in a different way. And then in an attempt to change the subject, she asks Sam about one of the stars.
Yeah, and they end up cuddling up together as he points at the different ones out in the sky before they fall asleep. And we catch back up with them in the morning, and of course, she stirs and thinks it must all have been a bad dream before coming round and realising who she is with, and returns to type with accusations of indecency, as we heard in the opening clip.
I think she protests a bit too much here. But, yes, like you say, we heard at the top of the show that Sam was dancing naked around her, and she tells him to keep his bouzouki to himself. I think she's quite funny. Again,
whether or not she can be quite funny is neither here nor there. That's not the point. If you're an arsehole, being quite funny doesn't cover it.
We get to the most ridiculous moment of the episode.
Well, they're immediately interrupted by the squawking of birds and soon realise what?
They're 6 inches away from land.
I mean,
they haven't noticed.
Yes.
With a forest and a beach.
Bearing in mind that in their situation, the first thing you should do when you wake up is look and see where you are. Yeah. So they get ashore, and Vanessa actually kisses the sand of what she believes to be Corfu and runs off to find a bar that she's sure is just round the corner because she's holidayed there many times before.
I think she's kidding herself on a wee bit here. Al sort of shows up and he's in a dressing gown, having done his performance.
Quite a fetching dressing gown, I have to say. And of course, he confirms it's not Corfu, but an uninhabited island, which will get no visitors for, I think, 9 years.
Were there a lot of those in Europe in the 50s? I'm not convinced that there was any uninhabited tropical islands off the coast of Greece in 1956.
Nah.
That were untouched by human hand. Anyway, we'll move along.
He's got some good news.
Does he? What's that?
There are no dangerous animals and lots of edible flora and a temperature that's quite pleasant.
Yes, so you could live there indefinitely.
Well, potentially, I suppose, potentially.
A bit later on, they've got their dinghy and trunk up onto the beach, and Sam is setting up the wedding dress as a tent while Vanessa complains about her veil having been ruined by the seaweed.
So he set up this shelter, and of course, she doesn't want to share it with the person who built it. And
that would be inappropriate, wouldn't it?
Insinuates that he has ulterior motives. Yeah, like survival, not dying. And we find out actually it's her that's got the ulterior motives.
We do, later on. At this point, however, she takes offence at the suggestion that her fiancé and late grandmother have nothing to worry about.
And gets even more upset when he has to explain that he's not managed to build some sort of toilet bathroom facilities.
Yes. Well, there's a whole tetchy conversation, and they're both as bad as one another.
No, they're not. They're not.
They very much are.
He's had to put up with this moaning and nonsense the entire time.
Well, she's had to put up with his nonsense as well.
There's no nonsense at all. He's been trying to keep them alive, and so exasperated, he tells her he's fed up with her, with her less than helpful attitude, and tells her to go and collect some grapes or something else that she likes, because apparently she doesn't like grapes.
He says he's going to catch some crabs once he's had some water. We'll leave that reference out.
And she thinks everything is so unfair. She stamps her little feet in the ground.
And this triggers Sam quite significantly, who now gets up in her face and starts pointing and telling her she can't handle fair. At which point he makes a bold decision.
Yeah, he says, okay, we'll eat whatever we find, and he leaves her crying for her daddy as he storms off to try and get some supplies.
Yeah, that'll definitely work out in his favour.
Well, we wouldn't be in this situation if it wasn't for her.
Well, no. We see a waterfall and join Sam as Al, still in his dressing gown, finds a pool of water, but before he drinks from it, Vanessa tells him to stop because she's pooped in the water.
Oh, I thought more of a pee than a poo.
No, because she said she didn't want to use the poison ivy.
Yeah, but so.
I suppose that could be for either way, I suppose. Yes. It's not clear. She's done one or the other, according to her.
The point is, anyway, again, this is another, it's symptomatic of her selfish behaviour. So they've been on this boat for a number of hours.
Yep.
They've not been drinking. They get to the island. Thirst in this heat must be a major consideration. She finds this pool of water and she admits here that, that's why we know it was a pee, because she said that she drank until she couldn't drink anymore. That's why she had to go to the toilet. So she satisfies her urge for hydration first.
It's possible that she's
doesn't consider that maybe
not telling the truth here.
That's possible, but it's not the case. Doesn't consider that that he might also need to. I mean, that's the thing. Without the food, you can survive. We know that.
Yeah.
Without water, you can die within days. So she's blown up the ship, and now, as far as she's concerned, she's contaminated their only water supply after using it herself. This is evil behaviour. Evil.
At this point, Sam's vicious side comes out as he gets up in her face and tells her that she makes it very hard for him to keep his cool. At this point,
vicious. I'm sorry. This you're just pissed in the water supply. She is lucky again. She's not getting launched back into the sea. She's putting his life in danger.
I mean, you say
Twice
that,
now.
but within seconds he turns playful as he pulls her into the pool with him after a wee shove.
Because obviously he fancies her. I mean, he's getting more restrained than me. I'll tell you, she'd be getting launched back into that water.
At this point, she scoops up the poop that she put in the pool and wipes it on his face.
Have some of that.
Al watches on. This is his sort of thing as they wrestle in this
It's muddy,
muddy pool.
Yeah,
but that can't be your best water source
no.
anyway.
And also, we saw that there was waterfalls.
Yeah.
So
he's probably overreacted.
No, we saw that, right? But he doesn't know that. And
But Al could tell him.
But it's not the point. She didn't know this.
Maybe she did.
No, she didn't say, don't worry, there's waterfalls up there. She saw water, used it herself, and then made sure that he would be unpleasant
That
for him
doesn't fit in with what we learn her plan is later on.
But this isn't our plan right now.
Okay. Anyhow, Al tells Sam that the two of them should put on bikinis and charge admission before he heads off to give Tina her, quotes, big birthday present.
Oh. Again, we said here, she doesn't accept she's done anything wrong. She admits to defecating in the water supply, but will not say, yeah, I shouldn't have done that.
But she's happy to roll around in it with Sam. Maybe she didn't actually
she definitely
contaminate
did.
the water. Otherwise, she'd be a bit more concerned about being in it.
No, your own pee?
I don't think she'd be happy with that.
You're a kid never pissed in a swimming pool?
If I did, I'd be getting out of the swimming pool straight after.
Oh, okay.
Eventually, after a bit more wrestling, they get out the pool soaked and filthy and sit on the rocks, and she warns him to be careful because people might think he's starting to like her.
Yep. Oh, but we should say as well, sorry, you did mention this.
What's that?
She pushed him into the water first.
Yeah. Playfully.
This is just, why are you pushing, all the things you're doing here? You've pissed in the pool.
Because it was funny.
You've pissed in the pool and then thrown him into it.
It was hilarious.
She's an absolute monster.
It was objectively funny.
A monster. And he does the old thing about, help me out, and then pulls her in. Yeah. But we can't let that pass. She does that in the pool and then pushes him into it. An absolute monster. All I'm going to say is this. If you had to swap around the actions of these two characters and Sam behaved to her like what she's behaving, you would be thinking to yourself, this guy is a scumbag. Absolute scumbag. If he pissed in the pool and then thrown her in there, honestly, you would go, no, that's nice. If he had had a smoke and everything was her fault, total gaslighting, the scummiest character I've met in this entire season. Entire series, I should say. Absolutely no redeeming features other than being white and rich and pretty. So yeah, as you said, that they drag himself in. What does she say?
She says that people will start to think he's keen on her and if he's not careful.
Yeah, he clearly is.
He laughs and says he's just met her and doesn't think this is the sort of entertainment that people in her social circle would go for.
I think this causes her to laugh for the first time.
But also make a confession.
What's that?
Nobody likes her.
I'm not surprised. Why would you not? Why would nobody like you? You act like an arsehole.
But I think the point she now makes is they like her when she's like that, but they don't like who she really is, which is what she's trying to show Sam.
I'm not sure. Anyway.
He, of course, being Sam, senses vulnerability at this stage.
He does indeed, yes.
Steers the conversation to make her feel more and more isolated. He says she's always happy talking about what makes the people around her happy, but what about her? And she, not realising that he's manipulating her, kisses him.
Yeah, but we find out that this is part of her plan.
Well, not yet. She pushes him away and says he had no right to seduce her in this way.
Yeah.
But she's not angry. It's kind of, again, it's still playful, part of a sort of a cat and mouse thing, maybe. And she goes off to pick berries, clearly a little bit confused.
It's later on that night, and after hearing Sam admit that he struggled to find anything to eat, we find them sitting around a campfire where Vanessa has been far more successful and looks like she's discovered a local supermarket.
Yeah, Sam
and a salon.
Well, we'll get to that. Sam is eating grapes with toothpaste on them. Why did you put the toothpaste on? Just eat the grapes.
Yeah, I don't know what he's doing.
What's the toothpaste adding?
Yeah, she tells him that her father taught her how to dig for clams, and while she helps herself to more fish, he tucks into, as you say, the minty fruits.
However, despite the fact that it was Sam who insisted they only eat what they get for themselves, she is magnanimous enough to offer him some of her clams.
No. The reason they're there in the first place is because of her. There's nothing magnanimous about this at all. If it wasn't for you, you'd put my life at risk here. Give me some of that food.
She saves his pride by giving him an out and saying she needs him not to faint from hunger, as he's responsible for the rescue.
And he proceeds to show her how he's MacGyvered a rescue flare. What's he done?
He's put a can of hairspray on a stick.
Yeah. This leads them to talk about being Indian guides, which I'm sure today it sounds quite racist.
Yes.
Probably not called that anymore, is it?
No, and Sam, despite initially saying he was in the Indian guides, has to correct himself to Trojan guides.
Right, okay.
As he's now a Greek.
And he asks her what her Indian name was.
Yeah.
What was it?
Pain in the Buffalo.
Yep. So, you know what they say about kids? You know, kids, they tell
She's been bullied from an early age, apparently.
Nothing so, what is it? What's it? Nothing so honest about, or from the words of, I don't know, but kids basically, if you're an arsehole, a kid will find it and they won't be shy in telling you.
All kids are arseholes.
Yeah, so even as a child, she was an absolute pain.
Well, even as a child, she was picked on and bullied, is the way I took it.
I'm glad she was. If she acted like that...
No, there's no justification for bullying.
Yes, there is.
For amongst children. Children don't know any better.
Children bully. If you're an arsehole, you should be bullied. Yeah,
disagree with that.
Nope.
Sam, however, cruelly laughs at this nickname before she threatens to take the clams back off him.
Well, he sees how perceptive these youngsters actually were.
They see Venus. You mentioned the stars before. They saw Venus earlier. They see it again, and when Sam tries to bring up the fact that they kissed earlier, she shuts him down, saying that nothing happened before volunteering to take the first watch, claiming that she's good at launching things if the flare is required.
Sam this is weird. Sam, he's barely shut his eyes.
Sound asleep straight away.
Yeah, and she lovingly places a jacket. That's that cliche, isn't it, where you cover up your love and you look after him. She puts a jacket
and
and
he's asleep. She's
brushes his hair.
Anything,
Yeah, like literally 3 seconds after he put his head on a hard rock.
She looks after him.
Yeah.
It's very sweet.
So it's a little bit later on now. Sam is on watch beside the fire embers and for some reason thinks it's okay to raise his voice to Al as she sleeps right next to them.
You know, she really is very pretty.
Yeah, when she's asleep.
Oh, aren't we touchy?
No, we are not touchy.
Oh, I'm sorry. I was wrong. She's nothing but a spoiled brat.
Well, there's a little bit more to it than that, Al.
Silver spoon in her mouth, pampered princess.
Al, once you get past the act, she's just a little kid playing at being a grown-up, that's all.
Oh, yeah, must have been really tough being weighted on hand and foot.
Tougher than you think.
See, you like her.
Me? Her? I'm just trying to be objective, okay?
You not only like her, you really like her.
Don't be ridiculous. What? What's Ziggy got?
I don't know. It needs a tune-up, this thing.
A tune-up? What do you mean it needs a tune-up?
No. Tuna. A tuna. Oh, there's a school of tuna just off the reef here.
How far out?
Not a couple 100 yards, just out toward that ship.
Ship?
Sam, there's a ship!
My flare. I gotta get my flare.
Oh, you
my
got a
flare.
flare?
Here it is.
Well, that's great. The ship will see you.
Okay, Al.
Okay. Great.
We're bound.
Nothing's happening with this flare.
It's impossible.
Sam, go say ahoy or something.
I don't believe this. The can has got to explode.
What are you doing now?
Trying to build up the fire. What do you think I'm doing?
Oh, well, you better hurry up. The ship's only in range for another 3.6 seconds. 2, 1, it's gone.
Moments later,
No. I'm sorry, I'm not letting this pass. You seem to be disagreeing. I'm entirely in agreement with Al here. Her father didn't show her enough love. Oh, boo-hoo. If you look at a serial killer, a murderer, an abuser, a molester, we know for a fact that the majority of these people would have went through and experienced traumas themselves, horrible childhood, in most cases horrible, abusive, violent childhoods. And what we don't say is, sensible people do accept that's why they act the way they act themselves. But that doesn't excuse it. It doesn't entitle her to act like that. You can't say, well, went through this trauma. She's not had an incredibly traumatic childhood. Her father didn't show enough personal one-on-one love. But neither does many people who are in poverty, who are not billionaires. They've had to they live terrible lives until, and you don't give them that out. You don't go, because you're not a privileged little white girl. You're a young black guy from a deprived neighbourhood. So when you commit your crimes, bugger you. It's not an excuse. But with her, you do, and I think that's what it's trying to say here. You fell for it. I don't care that her father didn't show her that type of love. It's nothing compared to what other people have went through. You could turn around and say that in any of the shows there's a mafia killer, or he's in the mafia, he's a bad guy. But that's because, in most cases, his father was also in the mafia. That was his environment. He was brought up to use violence. He had no other options. He was born into a violent lifestyle as well. You don't go, well, they've gotten out. He shouldn't go to jail. He murdered some people. He's involved in serious crime. Yeah, but it's not his fault. He grew up in the mafia. His father was in the mafia. So I don't care why, and I'm not even disagreeing why she's an arse. But the fact is, she is. And not everyone who is brought up with a father who doesn't, some people's father disappeared on them. They just left them. They're poor. They left. Their father walked out on them. That's not an excuse for being an arsehole. Everyone whose father wasn't there, single parent, kids with brought up by a single parent. Oh, well, my father, he was a scumbag, he was a junkie. He left me, hardly seen him, he only came round to when he wanted money. Doesn't mean to say you can be that, and they're not, because you don't have to be. It's not an excuse. Being an arsehole, a lack of love does not mean that you get a pass for being a scumbag. She's a scumbag. But because she's white and pretty and she's from a equivalent to today's billionaires, you give her a pass. No. Act like an arsehole, you're an arsehole. Your own pass. We've all had to put up with stuff in the past. But if you want to fall for that sort of, this fairy tale book ending, well, that's why she's actually nice. I don't care, she's nice. She doesn't act nice. She's a scumbag. She should be in jail.
I think there's a fairly significant difference between people who molest and murder people and someone who's a bit disagreeable.
The point, no, but not just that. I've just explained as well. They're just people who are arseholes.
But she's still young. She's not had an opportunity.
She's not still young. She's playing
in her late teens.
She's not in her late teens. Brooke Shields was about 29 and she's not playing a teenager. In fact, she says herself it's too late. She's not at the time. She's older here. She's been brought up like a pampered little princess, and she didn't get what she wanted from her father. Therefore, she's going to take it on everyone else, and it's not an excuse. She's a scumbag. Scumbag.
I think the way that she behaves is the way that she is conditioned to behave by not just her father, but everyone around her. And the fact is that the fiancé that she doesn't want to marry is only her fiancé because she acts in that way.
I'm sorry, but condition that
and
doesn't.
This is her trying to break out of that mold.
No, I don't think so at all.
And reveal that she doesn't have that instinct. It's just an act that she puts on to fit in.
It's not entire life. She was.
It's not. You can't expect folk to turn their back on their entire family and all the people that they know.
Not turning your back
because they expect you to be a certain way.
Acting like a brat the whole time, spoiled brat, and not. I say from a legal point of view, her attitude has caused a bloody ship to blow up. That's way past the stage of just being a wee bit arsey with people. She blew up a ship because of her attitude.
I don't think that's how it works. It's an accident. It was a bit stupid, careless, but that's not to do with her entitled.
Yeah, of course it's entitled. She doesn't care. She doesn't think about other people. I want to do this. I want to go and stalk this guy. I'll smoke a cigarette with I'll smoke a cigarette in the engine room between inflammables. What's the big deal? I'll do that there. No one else is allowed to do that. I'll do it. my dad's hired this shitbird billionaire, I'll do whatever I want.
I'm not sure
then
that's
it causes you
should have had at all.
Well, I'm saying that she's come from a billionaire family, and billionaires, as we know, aren't nice people generally.
Oh,
But you'd be on the side of the you know, you're probably quite into the old monarchy as well, aren't you? Oh, they've got a tough time, and I'm sure they do have horrible existences. Growing up, I wouldn't want that lifestyle, but it doesn't give them a pass. Oh,
No, I don't think she would have a pass if she murdered or molested anybody either.
No, Tom, that.
But you
acting
can
like
get a
that.
pass for being a bit of a pain.
No, she's
if
not.
you show that you're willing to learn from
It's
that and change.
more than a bit of a pain. Everything she said was a complete pain in the arse. Wasn't a little bit.
A 12-hour period.
Would not accept it. Or you think this is not how she normally acts.
No, that's what I'm saying. She acts this way because that is what is expected of her.
No,
She doesn't.
She acts like that
that's
because
not how
she's
she
entitled.
wants to
It
be.
would be crazy for someone to brought up like that and not act like that all the time. She's entitled. She's a brat. She's threatening. That's what I'm saying. She threatens him as well. I'll get my daddy to do this and my daddy to do that.
There's no force behind that.
You don't need force when you've got the power. That power imbalance. When you've got that money and wealth, this is a guy who works in the engine room. She has got all the power in that relationship. She's threatening with it. I'll have you sacked. You'll lose your job because of me. Absolute scumbag white privilege behaviour.
Oh, that's one way of looking at it.
Yep. I'm not buying for it. You fell for it. Oh, and then it's fairy tale Cinderella stuff.
I'm about to get more upset because
Yeah, I know I am.
She wakes up and ultimately reveals that she used the hairspray. Which I've noted at this point is self-sabotage, but is it conscious or unconscious?
Well, and it gets worse. It gets worse because if we think she was just, again, being careless because she was entitled and selfish, that's bad enough, but it's worse than that.
Sam gets really angry here, which, well, fair enough if you are Nikos, but I don't know why Sam cares whether they get rescued or not. He's not him. He's not going to be living.
But he wants to leap.
But he doesn't know whether getting rescued is what's going to make him leap.
There you go.
In fact, Al's about to tell him that getting rescued is not what makes him leap.
He wants to leap. And again, she does this thing again. She uses it and doesn't say sorry and say, I shouldn't have done that.
I think it's implied, though.
But it's not implied at all. And this is the biggest problem with that point as well. She's no shame.
For the first time, really, she takes a bit of responsibility here, saying she didn't realise she used so much. However, Sam is very angry now and starts giving her all sorts of abuse, calling her vain, spoiled and self-centred, and saying that she doesn't give a damn about anybody else.
Undisputable. Based on all of her actions here, that is undeniable.
I think he's drawing too great an inference from what's happened here.
From all her actions, from all her spoiled and vain actions, yeah. Sam then tells Al that he needs to get out of the leap as fast as possible, because even his previous experience as a woman would not have prepared them for this behaviour.
He likes his misogyny show here by talking about only liking certain kinds of women and not being ready for a woman like this.
Yes, and I completely agree. I would not like to be involved with a woman who's a complete arse.
Al says, however, that there are problems because although the analysts are working hard on what Sam needs to do to leap, they're all still hungover from Tina's party.
I've seen this a few times. What were they up to? I mean, this is really unprofessional.
Yeah, he's got a leap on. I suppose he's always got a leap on.
Yeah.
But surely they could do shifts or something.
Yeah. Al points out that he clearly likes Vanessa and is surprised to learn that she opened up to him about her cruel but accurate childhood nickname.
At this point, Sam decides he's just going to join with the bullies and start using the Princess Pain in the Buffalo name.
Yeah, I can understand that, yeah. Now, also, I think he sort of partially agrees that he might have, I think he denies at first he's got any feelings for her.
Well, he says the only feelings he has for her are homicidal.
But he admits that he might have, and then he says, but what if Nikos doesn't? That has never, ever stopped him before.
Never.
He's quite happy to, in certain circumstances, have sex with women.
His whole relationships with women.
Yeah, he never thinks, wait a second. So I don't know why all of a sudden
he started a bit of necrophilia without knowing whether the person he leapt into was into that sort of thing.
However, Al tells him he is, like Nikos, is besotted with Vanessa, and she certainly noticed him when she came aboard. And
burying the lead a wee bit here, I'll just wait till the last 10 minutes of the episode to mention this.
And it was actually her who followed him. So she'd previously accused him of spying on her, but no, it was the other way around.
That's fairly standard behaviour, isn't it? If you've been caught doing something, you start accusing.
Do you?
That's
okay.
That's not a nice thing to do, but right, I think you find you see a lot of it. Right-wing politicians do it quite a lot. Okay. It's like, you've spent all our tax money. No, it was me.
Okay, so Sam wants to know why he is there if they're obviously, hot for each other. He's not there to make...
It's because in the original history, Al says, Nikos had them rescued far too soon before she could realise her feelings or act upon her feelings for him.
Yeah, therefore, because he is a pretty lousy sailor, he has to get Vanessa to admit that he's got opportunity to get her to admit.
He's been put here for his incompetence.
Yes. Yeah.
We now see Vanessa in the morning sitting on a rock looking a bit sad, and I wonder whether Sam will handle this skillfully.
Well, he tries to ease... He does, for some reason, he tries to ease the tension by claiming that her hair looks great and then tells her that David is a lucky guy. So he's been... Considering her past behaviours, this is very tender and pleasant.
Yes, which is going to set alarm bells ringing for her. Why has he suddenly changed his entire personality since the last time they spoke? And
she finally realises that the predicament that her actions have gotten them into is going to potentially mean that she will never see David again. And he tries to perk her up, but she's very deflated and mentions how she always saw herself as a grandmother before going on to show that she has at least some insight into her own life and her rich white girl privilege.
There's just so many things I wanted to do. I wanted to climb a mountain. I wanted to sail the Nile. I want to learn how to make chocolate chip cookies.
Chocolate chip cookies? I always figured you for the baked Alaska type or something.
I used to go over to Betsy Johnson's house. And her mom, she used to make this tuna casserole and bake cookies. And then she'd let us lick the bowl. They didn't have nearly as much as we had. And yet they were so happy.
Does David make you happy?
Of course he does. David's wonderful. My family loves him.
Do you love him?
Well, I'm marrying him, aren't I?
Yeah, but do you love him?
Why are you doing this to me?
Because I want to make sure you understand that you don't have to marry somebody because your family likes him. And you really don't have to marry somebody because he reminds you of your daddy.
It's not like that at all. I love Daddy. I mean, David. I just don't want to die before I have a chance to live.
You know, sometimes you have to take the chance.
It's too late.
It's never too late.
A couple of points here.
One, the first thing, it's like, again, that's a white privilege. Oh, I've always had dreams about going down the Nile. Oh, yeah, typical. That's the typical dreams that people have. And she also here, as another example, she romanticises it's like poverty porn. Oh, those poor people. I mean, they've no money, but they love it because they love each other and they're happy. They're happy. They're totally. No, they're not. That's sort of, people who are poor. It's not all about love. They don't have each other. Sometimes the lack of money can destroy families and cause people to die because they can't afford healthcare or food or whatever it is as well. And it's a brutal life. So don't start romanticising it. It's like, oh, they wouldn't want any of our money. I know we're billionaires. I don't give them money because that would just make them not love each other as much. It's just a billionaire's idea of what poverty is like.
I don't think it's unique to people with money though. Everyone looks at other people and thinks, I wish I had what they had, or they've got something that I don't have.
Yeah, but she's specifically saying they didn't have money, but they had love, and that's...
Yeah, but maybe the other family are looking at her thinking, oh, they don't have love, but they've got money, and I would swap the love of my family for all that money.
Yeah. Anyway, we had the kiss at the end of that clip.
Sam recognises peak vulnerability here and makes his move, but strongly coercing her to give up on the idea of her fiancé in favour of him.
Yeah, I mean, I've got the word vulnerable written down here, but no, I think she tries at first to sort of like say no by saying she's saving herself for her husband. Yes. But he says, yeah, your husband, Nikos. But we find out anyway that it's her that's being manipulative.
Well, we find out that, yes, Al's already told us that she was following him down to the engine room.
No, but it gets worse.
She's used the hairspray on purpose. She didn't want them to get rescued because she wants to spend more time with Nikos. Again,
this is utter scumbag behaviour. You can romanticise all. Again, if this, it's a little bit like you see it back in, or you saw it back in the 70s and the 80s in movies, or even the 90s, where you get guys who are apparently being romantic. They're shown to be the romantic lead, but they're doing stuff that's really creepy. These days, would be considered stalking. You know, you get it in TV adverts as well, where a strange guy would approach women with flowers and all that and pester them. You see that a lot of time in movies where the guy would do things that are creepy and stalkerish, but you know what? It's because he loves her, and in the end they get together. This is the same here. This has been presented
There's
as
definitely a consent issue here.
He cannot decide that you're going to pass up the opportunity for him to be rescued, because you, again, flip this around. Had Sam did this, if it was a guy saying, I'm not going to be rescued, I'll just go to stay with her on this island without asking her for consent, that is appalling. That's another big one.
To be fair, this is only day 1 or day 2 on the island. They're now going to decide if that is what they want to do together going forward.
There's no to be fair about it. She made an appalling decision not to get rescued, and it's just creepy, bad behaviour.
It's also a bit of a risk, isn't it? Because
Massive.
you could just die.
Yes.
She doesn't have Al's reassurance.
It's not
that
that,
nothing creepy.
They've never considered, it's all this flora and stuff. You ever considered mental health? You watch The Shining, 2 people on an island together. You get to the stage where you're stabbing each other.
We learn here that they have 6 kids over the next 9 years. Who's looking after them? Where's the medical care?
Not just that, yeah. But before Al mentions it, I've noted here, she in her previous clip says, or before the previous clip says, she wanted children.
Yeah.
You can't be bringing 6 kids up on an island. What an abusive, appalling environment.
Well, it's only for the next 9 years. Then they're going to move back to civilization.
The risk as well. The risk in terms of childbirth back in the 50s.
Yeah. Well, it doesn't matter when it is if you're on a tropical island.
That's true. But you can't be doing this. It's just shocking.
This is extremely romanticised, saccharine nonsense.
Of course it is.
This ending.
Yeah.
Anyhow, they kiss and Sam leaps and shows up on a hospital trolley, and an angry man comes over, raves at him about something, gets carted off, at which point we get, I think, the earliest appearance of Al.
Yeah.
In an episode. I've not seen him before the credits previously.
Okay.
He says to Sam, "Don't get up."
And we see why when he looks in the mirror and discovers that he's no legs.
His legs are gone.
Oh boy.
Yeah.
He's legless.
Like the team back at Quantum Leap. They've been at Tina's
Yes.
party. So, the ending doesn't work for me. Don't think it works for you.
No, she can't
It's
make
terrible.
that decision.
Neither of them can, even consensually, they can't stay on this island. That's ridiculous.
Also, there must be legal as well. You can't just bring up kids without having them. That would be child abuse.
I mean, fair enough if it was an inhabited island, there was a town, and they'd say, "Look, we're just not going to go back to civilization. We'll stay in this town in Greece and live together."
Yeah, but you can't bring up kids on grapes.
Well, and clams, raw clams.
It's just, it's horrible. It's abusive.
Do you think that when we find out that they were attracted to one another at the end, that changes your impression of either of their behaviour earlier on?
No, that doesn't, no.
Do you think Scott Bakula insisted on all the kissing when they were determining what to do with Brooke Shields' guest star appearance?
Oh, yeah. Fair play to him, yeah.
Right, in this episode...
I'm just surprised. At Desert Island, he didn't get his top off.
Brooke Shields shows up and she's really horny for me.
Yeah.
Like, Scott, hang on. So horny that she's really mean, you know, like women are, and then we have lots of kisses and...
Why did he not get his top off?
Mud wrestling, we do mud wrestling.
Why did he not get his top off?
And because he's got the wet look going on.
Every other episode, would he any chance?
If he'd been directing it, he would have.
Yeah.
Anyhow, any other thoughts before we move on?
I don't think we should. I don't think we need to really, do we?
We've discussed at great length all of our thoughts on this one. So this originally aired on the 29th of September 1992, directed by Alan J. Levy, fourth of his 6 Quantum Leaps. If you want to hear more about him, go back to Kamikaze Kid or the Columbo podcast, I think. You'll find more about him there. The writers for this one were Richard C. Oakey, the second of his 6. Go back to A Single Drop of Rain to hear more about him. And Robin Bernheim. This is the first of her 5 writing credits. She's also written for things like Star Trek The Next Generation, Star Trek Voyager, MacGyver, and Remington Steele, and now, at the age of 67, remains active. Vanessa Foster was played by Brooke Shields. This was her only quantum leap. She was initially a child star. She's been in things like Suddenly Susan, Pretty Baby, Blue Lagoon, Friends, That 70s Show, and Jane the Virgin. She's a Golden Globe nominee, 5-time People's Choice Award winner, and a 3-time Razzie winner, including as a teenager for Blue Lagoon, which seems a bit harsh. She was briefly married to Andre Agassi, tennis player, and now at the age of 59 remains active. The reflection of Nikos was played by a Greek actor called Socrates Alafouzos.
Socrates, that's a cliche.
That's amazing, isn't it? This was his only quantum leap, but most of his work has been in Greek language film or in the theatre, but he's been in Criminal Minds, 1 or 2 short films, and now at the age of 61 he works at the Dodge College of Film and Media Arts as a professor. Trivia, this is the smallest main cast of any episode, believe it or not. Neither of them was 6 feet tall. Title is obviously from Shakespeare's The Taming of the Shrew, although the plot is a bit different because he doesn't really do anything to tame her. It's really her own instincts that come out. Costuming for Brooke Shields was done by Jean-Pierre Dorléac, who we've mentioned before, but he also did her costuming in Blue Lagoon, and he's on record as saying he much preferred the options available to him for this episode. The episode was filmed on the Universal Studios backlot near the Jaws ride. And in terms of things that we learned, Sam's dad taught him the constellations as a child. He was in the Indian guides, had an Indian name. He mentions that he remembers what happened in 8.5 months in Mitt's Deep South. We hear about one of Al's wives, his Ruth, his third wife. Anything else?
No, on this date.
Yep.
So, number 1 is we had Paul Anka with Diana in the UK and Honeycomb by Jimmy Rogers in the US, which I think was the same as October the 5th from the Lee Harvey Oswald episode.
Right. So on the 27th of September, in a link back to the very first episode, this was the date the first plane hit Mach 3, the Bell X-2, but the pilot Milburn G. Apt died. In the attempt the next day, which is the second day of the episode, William Boeing, who founded Boeing Airlines, died. And the following day, the 29th, Seb Coe was born.
Okay. I think the day before Linda Hamilton was born.
From Terminator.
No, she wasn't born from... She wasn't a woman born from...
Born of the Terminator, yeah. Well, it's all time travel-y, timey-wimey stuff, you know. Next week, Sam has to stop a fellow Vietnam veteran from ending his own life, which sounds cheery. So we'll see you in 1968.
Cheerio.
Bye-bye.